Are we seeing the end of the American dream? What was always seen and thought of as the good life is no longer the perception that many people have and what many people are actively pursuing today. So in this video, I'm going to talk about two alternatives to the American dream that people seem to be pursuing today. Let's get right into it. So the American dream, originally coined by James Truslow Adams, talks about the United States essentially as the land of opportunity. The idea is essentially that those who work hard, regardless of their background, their social status, have the opportunity to succeed, to make it in America, to experience upward mobility, and in doing so fulfill their full potential and live a good quality life. And this work hard, hustle culture is somewhat ingrained in the fabric of American society, and particularly in the workplace in the United States. And so whilst as part of the American dream, this is something that people can think, I will work hard, I will rise up the career ladder, I will aspire and do well, and I will achieve the American dream for myself, etc. In today's society, people, particularly generations like Gen Z and Millennials, seem to be placing more emphasis on their mental well-being and their mental health, rather than buying into this full-blown hustle culture, essentially. Perhaps over things like increased cost of living, wage stagnation, challenges in the labor market, just to sum it up, essentially. So that's the American dream that I really didn't want to go into too much detail. But I think it's important to kind of have the context as we go into the two alternative dreams that people seem to be pursuing today. Now, one of them is the Spanish dream, which I can attest to and talk about as someone who's living here right now. If you've ever been to Spain or you've heard me talk about Spain in my videos, you'll know that it has a fantastic quality of life on offer, fantastic weather year-round in the majority of the country, great food, and the way of life is very different to the United States as well. Very much embodying a work-to-live mentality rather than a live-to-work mentality, with a particular emphasis on socializing, seeing family and friends. We can also say there are other countries in Europe that embody elements of this. Portugal, Italy, and Greece also fit the mold. And then, we can maybe talk about France and a couple of other countries in the context of the broader European dream, which is very closely linked to the Spanish dream, essentially. And so as someone living in Spain, what I can tell you about the Spanish dream is that the benefits of it are definitely there and can definitely be experienced for people coming here. Regarding the weather, I think there's not too much that needs to be said other than, with the exception of maybe the northwest of the country where it is a more temperate climate. The majority of Spain experiences a Mediterranean climate with a lot of sun and milder temperatures to what you'd experience in the likes of the northern parts of the United States or Northern Europe, for example, pretty much year round. Certain parts of the country, like Madrid, for example, do go a bit cold over the winter months, December to January, February. But if you're on the coast, Barcelona, Valencia, Andalusia, you're looking at pretty nice weather all year round. The quality of food we have here in Spain and in the rest of Europe is very good as well. Spain does produce a lot of things like tomatoes, for example, oranges, olive oil, which all make up part of the Mediterranean diet, which is actively promoted in Spain as a healthy way of living. And definitely things like an outdoor lifestyle, going out to eat, seeing friends, family is very much a part of the culture. And then the social aspect of life in Spain, from what I've experienced in life, I would say personally is second to none so far. It's just fantastic. But before you sell everything and come to Spain, you do need to know that the Spanish dream and life in Spain, as I've said in other videos, it's not for everyone. In the United States, you very much got a convenience-oriented culture, which, whilst it has been exported to Europe to a certain degree, it hasn't fully taken a hold in every European country, and I think Spain is a good example of that. Like if we take administration, for example, there are opening hours, which is pretty much, morning up until midday for a lot of, admin tasks, whether it's visa, banking, tax office, whatever it may be. It's not really designed with people's convenience in mind. It's there, it is what it is, and you deal with it basically. And bureaucracy and administration in Spain generally doesn't move super fast, let's say. I do believe that Spain is making progress in this area with things like the digital certificate, like Clave, which you can use on your mobile phone. So definitely progress has been made, significant progress has been made, particularly since I arrived here or even since like the very first times I've come to Spain as an adult. And in other aspects of life, you've got things obviously like food delivery, supermarket delivery, you can get cleaning services at home, things like that. So there are some aspects of convenience in life, but it's not a country or a way of life that is particularly designed around a lifestyle of convenience, let's say. What you'll find as well, probably in a professional environment, is that there is not really this hustle culture, this work super hard kind of mentality as you might find in a country like the United States. I don't want to say that it's laid back, but let's just say that work is work. Work is handled during work time. It stays at work. And from my experience, can be and should be essentially a clear segregation between work life and personal life, essentially. So it's good if you're an employee. Professional progression might not go as fast as it would in the United States. You might not earn as much. But in most professions, you should be able to make enough money to live decently. Obviously, of course, there's the cost challenges that come with living in cities like Madrid and Barcelona. So it might be a case of having a room in a shared flat for a period of time. But you get my point. In addition, I've said this a number of times as well, that whilst it is possible to be self-employed, be a business owner in Spain, from my perspective, it's not the best place to do it, simply because things like the cost of social security and income tax for self-employed people puts a very high pressure on the person. And so if you're not making a lot of money as a self-employed person in Spain, it can be quite demoralizing to see a lot of your money go into social security. And if you are making a lot of money in Spain, it can be quite demoralizing to see a lot of your money going towards income tax. And so those are some of the reasons why I say that Spain is not necessarily the best place to be an entrepreneur. And so you do have to weigh up what you're really looking for to determine whether the Spanish dream is for you. Now, for the second dream I want to talk about, we need to head over to the United Arab Emirates to talk about the Dubai dream. So the UAE, and in particular Dubai, has grown massively in popular over the past 5 or 6 years or so. You look at pictures of Dubai in the 1980s compared to what it is today, you can't deny the transformation is incredibly impressive. I think that, combined with Dubai becoming a global hub for transportation, with it also appearing a lot across social media and a lot of influencers and business people who have relocated there or spend a significant amount of time and have interests there, has very much made Dubai a global brand. And so for me, trying to define the Dubai dream is almost like the rebirth or an evolution, if you like, of the American dream. If you think of what comes to mind when someone mentions Dubai, you think of things like the Burj Khalifa, all of the tall buildings that are in Dubai, the luxury that comes with living in Dubai, the flashy cars, the very high levels of safety that come in Dubai. And of course, we can't talk about Dubai without mentioning the very competitive tax environment there. And so having been to Dubai 3 times over the past 6 years or so, definitely say that it's very safe as a city. It was even completely tax-free up until about 2 or 3 years ago, when they did introduce a 9% corporate tax on profits above $175,000, if I'm not mistaken. But even with that, there's people who earn below that threshold in their Dubai LLC, or maybe they're freelancing and they're self-employed, and as a result, they're not liable for income tax. Oh, and if we talk about convenience culture in Dubai, it is next level. You can order food from a takeaway or a restaurant pretty much at any time of the day. You got a lot of mobile services that are available. I heard someone online talk about how their car was running low on fuel, and they simply called up a fuel company to come to the house and fill up the car without them having to even go to a petrol station. And even thinking back to my honeymoon like last year, we were just talking with a couple of real estate developers in like Dubai Mall of the Emirates, just out of curiosity to learn a bit about the property market and stuff. They were asking like when we were going home, and we told them, oh, tomorrow we're going home. And they were like, we have a car ready outside, we can take you there right now. And I was like, whoa, like it was crazy, like a car just for us to take us to a development to show us the property. We didn't go in the end, as I say, it was just for informative purposes that we were inquiring about property in the UAE, but pretty crazy to think that, right? And of course, hearing all of this, seeing what it looks like on social media, even going in person, and just seeing, the quality of life in Dubai, like the buildings, the cars, the restaurants, the beach clubs, and it's no wonder that people are drawn to move there. But like the American dream and the Spanish dream that we talked about just before, there's also things that you need to keep in mind with the Dubai dream as well. We talked about the work hard, the hustle culture that is part of the American dream. And it does sound like and appear that work hard, hustle culture has essentially been exported and is now part of society in Dubai as well, with a lot of international firms and businesses that are setting up there. It has become very much a hustle culture. And so there's a lot of people who pursue career opportunities, go to find work in Dubai, and then who end up burnt out by the work hard, hustle culture that has essentially become a part of the work environment over there. That said though, if you're an entrepreneur and you've got control over your time, your business, who you work with, you want to be in the hustle, you want to grind while you're out there, you want to make money. I do think that entrepreneurs really have a good opportunity in Dubai to network, to meet people, to grow their business, to make money and grow their wealth tax-free as well whilst they're there. But you've also got to keep in mind, if you're pursuing a career or professional opportunities in Dubai, is that salary and compensation packages today are not what they were 5 years ago. 5 years ago, the supply and demand situation was very different. And, firms were trying to attract a lot of expat talent with very enticing compensation offers, relocation paid for, accommodation and school fee and school, I think, in some cases for people as well. Whereas today, you've got people from all around the world that want to come and work in Dubai. And so the competition is very intense. There's pressure being put on salaries. And so the packages are not as attractive as they once were. I think if you do choose Dubai, you choose the UAE as the place to live. I think unless, money is absolutely no concern for you, you do have to be careful not to fall into the trap of the flashy luxury lifestyle in Dubai. But, just because someone you've seen on social media is driving a G-Wagon and lives in a crazy penthouse with like crazy amenities for their residency as well, it doesn't mean that it's the best financial decision for you. Because if you're not really making that kind of money, you're going to burn through any income that you do have pretty quickly trying to sustain that lifestyle. And that can quickly take away the fun of living in Dubai. Just speaking from a personal perspective as well, particularly thinking that the cost of living in Dubai has gone up significantly as more and more people are moving there, particularly when it comes to things like property and apartments and houses for people to live in. But even just thinking about from a personal perspective, I had the opportunity to live in the UAE where I could, in theory, make a lot of money, probably a lot of it tax-free as well. I could reinvest that back into my business to grow it further or save and invest money for the future. I personally would choose that over a rich and flashy lifestyle. Obviously, if you go to Dubai, there is a bit of an expectation that you want some of that quality of life, but I don't think it's a good idea to spend everything that you make just because you want to live this luxury crazy life that you see in Dubai. One final reflection I have on the Dubai dream as well is that because now Dubai is such a brand name, it comes back to something I learned investing. If everyone is talking about a particular stock or particular asset, saying it's a great investment, that it's going to make big returns and stuff, the chances are the opportunity is probably gone because the people who are going to make the biggest returns have already been in the game since way before you even found out about it. And if everyone is talking about it, perhaps the peak has been reached. And even today, whilst Dubai and the UAE have a lot of great things to offer, Dubai today is not Dubai of 5 or 10 years ago, where the upside was completely insane. If you ask me, and this is not a professional recommendation or advice or anything, but I think countries like Qatar and Saudi Arabia today are where Dubai was 5 or 10 years ago. I believe that's where the opportunities are in the Gulf, but that's just my personal opinion. So if we think about all these dreams, the American dream, the Spanish dream, the Dubai dream, success looks different for everybody, and each of them have trade-offs. If you're a hustler and a go-getter and you want to build a business, then probably the Spanish dream is not for you. But if you're burnt out, you're tired, and you prioritize your quality of life over working hard or career progression, for example, then Spain, Portugal, Italy, Greece, for example, can be a great place to be. And Dubai is probably not your cup of tea, probably not where you're looking to go. So it's all about understanding really what your goals are in life, what your priorities are, and finding the destination that essentially best aligns to your personal values, the lifestyle you want to live, and that allows you to live out your life the way you want to live it. And so I talk about Spain and the UAE in my Global Financial Freedom Program, which I'll link in the video description. I'm going to be running an offer for Black Friday over the month of November as well, so do keep an eye out for that. And in this program, you'll learn all about how to fully take advantages of opportunities on a global level, whether it's making money online, whether it's keeping more of your wealth, optimizing your taxes, or finding the country, like we talked about in this video, that best suits your lifestyle. And so I hope you find this video interesting, guys. Leave a comment and let me know if you resonated with some of the ideas that I shared in this video. If you had to pick between one of these versions of success, which one you would choose. And if you like this video and you want to learn a bit more about Spain or the UAE, then be sure to check out these two videos here. So next time, I'll see you on the next one, and let's get this money.